a labor level employee came in, they expose a big performance issue within the company.
What does HR mean?
You have to be that close friend of your team.
What's the main key difference that you've noticed from HR in Sri Lanka to HR in Canada?
If they don't feel comfortable coming to you, then they won't tell you anything.
What kind of advice would you have for young founders managing this side of operations in their companies?
Your best employee might be struggling with an immigration issue because he or she cannot renew his work permit.
Now we're gonna get to some philosophical questions. What challenges you? Hello guys, today we have Don Telan, a LinkedIn connection and human resource manager and a professional.
Yeah.
How are you, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I had
Nice.
2 meetings with leads for my own company, and then now I'm speaking to you after I'm getting
Cool.
a facial at my aunt's med spa.
Oh,
Because you see, like, there's some kind of,
oh yeah.
it's a little bit, I guess I get angry sometimes. So dealing with that, and then at night, seeing the lady.
Oh,
It's
nice.
a full day. What about you? How was your day?
Oh, it's just kind of a busy day, but I always try to give back to the community, and share my experience, share my insights. So it's all about, my passion is to give back to the community. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
So yeah, tell me about yourself. How did you get started into this passion that you mentioned?
Yeah.
And is there a full journey kind of experience you can share with us?
Got it. So I started my career like as soon as I, get out from my high school. It was back in 2010. So it's back from my home country, which is Sri Lanka, which is a small island nation in the middle of Indian Ocean. So I was the soccer captain of the school soccer team. So I was having some kind of a leadership, capacity, managing my team, managing human resources. It's kind of the spirit I was at. Then entering the HR field was kind of an accident because I studied mathematics, chemistry, and physics for my high school. Then thought of, okay, it's time to shift my gears and stuff, right? And then finally, started as a payroll person in a company because back all days it was like all Excel payrolls, no systems were there. So I was good at mathematics and Excel. So then that owner of the company asked me, hey, come over and join me as my payroll person. I said, I don't know anything about payroll. Then he said, okay, you can learn, just try it out. Then I started as kind of entry level, like a clerical person and doing payroll, like, cash balancing and all that, like basic accounting stuff with that company. So then I thought, okay, HR is something interesting. Why don't I need to learn more, right? Like, become a professional in HR, not just to do payroll, right? So then there was few courses like professional development courses with HR. So it's like a 2-year program. So I started with that, doing my PQHRM from Sri Lanka, which is a chartered qualification in HR. So it is, so I got it like done within like a 2.5-year period. So then I was a management assistant for an government institution back in Sri Lanka. So I did HR auditing and performance based, like, programs there, like, process improvements, HR process improvements, admin process improvements. So I was able to, contribute to like more than 6 to 7 new branch openings with that government institution because there was a civil war back home and then the war ended. So we expanded the business through the government. So I was part of that team. So then I've completed my PQHRM, which is the professional qualification. Then I thought of, okay, then I got kind of an executive. Executive means back in Sri Lanka is like a generalist in Canada, right? So then I got an HR generalist role in an advertising and event management company. So that was because of my, PQHRM. Then I thought, okay, if I need to jump further up in the career, I might need to learn more, like HR, organizational development and stuff. So then I started doing my master's in HR, which is from University of Salford, Manchester. But there was a study center back in my country. So then I started doing my MSc in human resource management, which I learned project management, human psychology, consulting, human development. So those were the subjects. So then, as soon as I complete my master's in HR, I got an opportunity to join in a big apparel manufacturer in Sri Lanka. Like we had three factories, almost 3,000 employees in one factory. So it was a big role. It was my first like a mass scale role that I ever experienced, because dealing with like a huge count of employees of, and they especially the HR matters, like personal matters, employment matters and stuff, and also to you know take and run the company, because it's like a full like an operational show there, because we have a huge targets to achieve, like quantity wise and sales wise and stuff in terms of apparel. So apparel means garments manufacturing. Like our market was North America, mainly Gap, Old Navy, and all those like Banana Republic, all those high end garments. Like we were the manufacturer there. And so I was there for like almost 2.5 years. Then suddenly, I was doing networking, meeting, and business owners, new people, and all that with my chartered qualification back home. So then suddenly, one recruiter came in, and he wanted to hire me as headhunt me as a head of HR in one of the another manufacturing facilities in Sri Lanka, which we did like rain gears, like raincoats, like umbrellas, and then outdoor furniture stuff and all that. So it was like a uh, different production facility compared to apparel. So so then I started that role as a head of HR. Then it was tough because I was there heading HR in between the pandemic. So the business closures were there. Then we had challenges. We laid off people, and then we rehired them back when the pandemic get resolved. But it was kind of a bigger role, and then I was right on like the decision making level, like as the head of HR. So it was the toughest role I have ever held, because to manage people and manage the business, and to make sure we need to you know protect the business with the impact of COVID, and then to protect the people who were employed, right? So that was a big role. And then luckily, like, I had to take the initiative to bring back people to the factory in between the pandemic, because we need to run the show, right? No matter what world is, like we have orders coming in, we have stuff coming in, like we need to fulfill their like the buyers requirements. So then I was coordinating with the government, like all that health authorities and stuff, then got all the licenses, and then we brought back all the people to the factory with all the safety initiatives and stuff. So then that company was one of the first 10 companies to restart after COVID. So it was hard to get that license first, because we need to show that we follow the certain health and safety standards, compliance standards, and people are safe to come to work, right, in between the pandemic. So as of that, the economic got slowed down, and then I thought, okay, moving somewhere international is a key, right? Like they, because you see, like after COVID, like there were a lot of new words came in, like Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, and stuff, like doing online stuff. More automation came in, like HRIS. Then people started talking more about automation, right? Working from home, that was a new concept, right? Even though like those words were there in the business, but we started talking more about those, right? Like hybrid workplaces and stuff, right? So then I was searching, okay, where to go, what are the best communities to go global for me as an HR professional. Then I applied different universities throughout the world, like especially like New Zealand, Norway, Sweden, Canada was an option too. So then I said, okay, I already have an MSc in HR, right? So what else I can learn? So I thought, okay, if I need to become a proper business professional, and HR is my expertise, but if I need to know more about the overall business, MBA, like an Master in Business Administration, would be a great idea. So then I chose Canada because University Canada West, UCW. So they offered me the MBA. So then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to Canada because it was easy for me to, relocate to an English speaking country rather than going to Europe, right? So New Zealand and Canada was the final two countries I was thinking of. So then I ended up in Vancouver in 2021. So it was a great break for my career because working as a head of HR, like a fully corporate member of the team, leadership team member, and then shifting my gears to become a student here in Canada, that was a great break of my career. Like I worked almost like 2010 to 2021, like 11 years of my career, like, going up in the ladder stage by stage, then taking a break, becoming a student, and then working part time in Canada. So it was a great break. First, it was like a pretty kind of upset because you will not get the same title or same hierarchy if you move your region or the country, right? So while I was studying, I started working in an warehouse, which is a kind of, I did kind of a dispatch and delivery coordination, and, logistical role for like 3 months just to survive, right, when I started. So then there was a cleaning company who hired me as a team leader. So I was leading teams and, supervising people and all that. And then I ended up being a supervisor HR there. So meanwhile, I completed my MBA within a short period of time, which is like 15 months. It was a 18-month program, but I didn't took a break because I wanted to, finish it quickly and get into the job market, right, without causing any delays. So then, I was thinking, okay, I'm passionate about networking and stuff. So then I started, meeting new people in Canada, like business professionals and HR folks, to learn what's the difference between the HR I did back home and the HR in this region, in this part of the world. So HR, I would say, like, HR is similar everywhere, but the work cultures, work ethics, right? Labor laws, right? The way we communicate to people is totally different. Like, even though the concepts are same. So I learned a lot of those from networking, like, meeting different professionals from different industries, HR professionals. So finally, then almost after 6 months after my graduation, my current employer, Senco Group of Companies, so they hired me as their human resource manager. So Senco, talking about Senco Group, it is the economic development entity of Seychelles Nation. So Seychelles Nation is in Sunshine Coast, Seychelles, and so they are the first self-governed nation in whole Canada. So their economic development entity is Senco Group of Companies. So we have nearly 24 different entities, and we are into like few diverse portfolio of sectors. Like we have fishing, mining, trucking, concrete, property development, and then forestry, and so on. Like we have nearly like 7 different sectors alongside. And I'm working there currently as the human resource manager, you know, leading the HR initiatives of the whole team across all 24 entities.
Wow, what an introduction. I mean, that there is a lot to unpack there. First of all, let's ask this question. What does HR mean? What is it? What is included in that term? Because human resources, you look at it, okay, human resources. What are the subcomponents in this term?
Human resources, okay, so it's from everything from identifying the right talent to let them go. So that is the smartest word, if you say, like identifying the right talents, develop them, retain them, and if they want to quit or if they want to resign, we have to let them go securely. So that is the part of HR, like the full cycle from hiring to firing. So the components of it includes recruitment, then developing people, uh, performance management, payroll, health and safety. What else? We have training and development and benefits, like total benefits like pensions, insurance, and all that. So HR is like a total package of you know unleashing the best out of people by you know according to the business goals and business strategies. So we need to, as HR people, we need to ensure that we protect people as well as we protect the company. So it's
It's a
like a balance
balance.
between that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the main key difference that you've noticed from HR in Sri Lanka to HR in Canada? If you can touch on that.
I would say the approach is totally different. Like the concepts are same. If you learn HR from Sri Lanka or Oceania, Africa, Europe, it's same. No matter what you learn, the concepts are same, but the way you apply it, way you respond to it, like, and the way you maybe way you implement it might be different. Those like new implementations, because it's different cultures, different communities, right? People communicate in different ways. Their thinking pattern is different, right? And also convincing people might be different from region to region. So that is the main challenge in terms of back home and here. The main thing I have seen is the culture difference. Like here, we need in Sri Lanka, back home it's like more operational HR. Like here is more like a strategic HR. Like we have to make sure, like the community is different, but there is like, that's why we call it like Canada is like one of the G7 countries. Like Sri Lanka is a developing country. Like we are more industrial, we are more like operational. Like here, we have skipped that level and came into a level where we have settled, but we need to develop people, like retain people, unleash the best out of people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're HR manager currently.
Yeah.
So you've led teams. Maybe you understand what makes a quality team member and what doesn't. Can you touch on that? And how do you personally find out that the person you're looking at or you're talking to is a talented individual for the certain task that you're looking for?
It's a comparison between what the job role looks like and the what person looks like. So for an example, say there's an operations coordinator role. So we know what are the key personalities and traits and skills required from that certain individual we are looking for, right? I would say education was a great, you know, deal breaker back maybe like 3 years back. But now you can see there are a lot of people with MBAs, bachelor's degrees, and stuff. Like, you know what? Like qualifications and skills are there, right? Now, as HR managers or any HR director or any HR recruiter, they are looking for personality, attitude, right? Culture fit, how that person can be the right fit for the company. Because I have seen companies hiring people, like, but they are not hiring the perfect candidate. They are just filling out the head, right? Filling out a head on the team, but at then end of the day they struggle, because it's we have to hire the right culture fit and the right personality, right person. Otherwise, like if there's a good team, if you put the wrong person in the middle, the whole team will suffer, or that person will suffer first, or else we might know that we might lose a good employee because of a bad hire. So HR responsibility is to maintain that culture, uh, not to harm that culture, as well as try to find the best fit for the company.
What makes a quality culture?
Quality culture depends on how they maintain it. We can't say this is the culture. For an example, some companies, they have their owner or their person who established that company might have a different culture, like he tried to maintain a different culture within the company, right? So that's why the people with the same vibe get attached to that company and they stay longer, right? So the best culture, I would say in general, is like performance driven cultures are the best cultures. Like if you cannot see a growth, if you cannot see a good performance driven culture in a company, nobody will stay. There will be people, there are different kind of candidates. Like some people like challenges, right? Some people, they just need the job, they just need to rest, they just need to earn something and bring food to their table. And some people are there, they don't like to be in that comfort zone, right? They always want some challenges or some growth. I think like mostly nowadays, like people, if they don't see any growth in the company, they won't stay, right? So I think the best culture is the performance driven culture. Plus, the on the other side, there are different companies. So maybe, as I said earlier, like the people who are inside the company makes the culture, right? And plus the founder or the owner, right? So, and also the leadership team. So they form the culture. Okay, this is our company looks like. This is our identity. Culture is an identity. That's why you find different identities, different cultures in different companies. Like for an example, if you go from Walmart to Costco, right? So two different cultures, right? If you go to Superstore, it's a different culture. If you go to Safeway, it's a different culture. So even retail markets, so they are maintaining a different culture. So they are trying to maintain certain culture between the company within the company, plus that employees follow the same culture. So that's how it happens.
You mentioned performance based culture. What does that mean? Is it that there's a reward system for high achievers and then maybe the low achievers like naturally get filtered out? Is that what you're saying? Like pushes everyone to be out of their comfort zone and that's the motto of the company, or can you dive deeper
Yeah.
into that?
So the performance based culture is about unleashing the best out of the high performers, as well as taking that low performance individuals and developing them to come and meet that standard level. Like every company has both sides. There might be 60% high performing individuals, 20% average performing individuals, and 20% underperforming individuals, right? So the high performance culture means you keep and retain and make that high performance happy, as well as getting that average professionals and to motivate them and feed them the right data, right performance trainings and stuff to get them to the next level, as well as not to fire or not to leave out the low performing individuals, but to try them. But HR and the management should try to bring them up, right, by providing different, maybe you can start with like a performance improvement plan, right? And then facilitate them with certain, maybe like they are not performing because they don't have enough tools to perform. Maybe they're not performing because they are in the wrong team, or maybe they are doing the wrong job within the company. Because I see some people, they apply for jobs, but it is not their passion, right? I've seen in many companies which I work for, I've seen individuals who were in the wrong title or the wrong team, but when I put them into the right team and with where they're passionate of, they shine a lot. And sometimes they get promoted within a year, right? So we have to identify, like HR has to do like a position identification for each role in a performance driven culture. Okay, what is this person looks like? Is this person having the skill set that the role requires? Or else, if he is having a different skill set, how we can fit that person into a different team or different title or a different department, right? So, and getting the best out of them. Or else, if they have the right skill set, why we don't see them utilizing that skill set? Maybe that's a problem with the process or a tool, or maybe the way they, like the way they work. Maybe the problem is with the manager. Like that manager is different. Like every manager is different, right? So that's why we need to like fully assess that positions, and where they are required, like why they are required, and what are the skills required, and then to go from it. It's all about going this journey with the team, not to let anybody down. Like there are some cases where we might need to we might identify a low performer who doesn't have that willingness to improve. Unfortunately, there are some incidents where I have worked before, so that happens. But you will see, like if the company make an effort to bring them to that certain expected performance level, 99% of employees, they will be there. Like if we give them the support that they require.
There are many of my viewers who are maybe founders of startups or in those roles of high position and leadership. So if you had to do like maybe an action step plan, or when you're looking at someone, how do you like fully grasp that are they a good fit for this position? Maybe they're a good fit for another position, or maybe they're not a good fit for this company. So then how do you effectively truly determine, is it like a as an action plan, is there like a secret code, or is it just like talking to them? There's a certain questions that you ask. What's your approach?
So mainly in the performance driven culture, like what the HR roles is like identifying the mismatches between their personality, their skills, and the manager's personality and manager's skills, right? So if there's no blend between the manager and the employee, so the likelihood of the tenure, like the stay of the employee, is less, or else the manager will get upset with the poor team, right? So what we do usually, when we hire a person, we have to make sure we hire the right person. So that's the first thing, the golden rule. If you hire a wrong person, then it's your problem, right? So first thing is, the best prevention is to make sure that you hire the right person to the role, right? Okay, so let's think about the existing employees. So you're controlled now, right? Like you know that you're going to hire only the right person, right, for the future jobs. But if there's a person who is struggling, and if the team is struggling because of another individual, or there's a one department is totally struggling within the team, right? So what you have to do, like as I said earlier, like we have to do a performance appraisal system, implement an appraisal system. For example, what I usually did in my previous companies and with the current company, I do a mid-year check-in with each individual, like a mid-year performance appraisal, looking at, okay, where are you guys at with the annual plan, right? Who is behind? Who is ahead, right? Who's struggling, right? And why is it? Like maybe two departments are there, but one department is struggling because they don't get any leads from the other department. Like, because all the departments are interconnected, right? Business is like a team game, right? So when you identify those like mid-years of, like, what I see, some companies, they only do annual appraisals, but that's wrong. You have to do like quarterly and mid-year check-ins, right? Especially team check-in as well as an individual check-in, right? So once you start doing that, you will see, okay, these are the problems. So it's like you have to be proactive, right? You don't need to stay till the year ends to identify, okay, we didn't made it, right? But come on, like if you're proactive, and if you do like a quarterly quick check-in, maybe a 15-minute conversation with the employee will help you to identify the mismatch and the inefficiencies, right? And so when you implement that mid-year evaluations, and then you will see the stuff coming in, like a lot of stuff coming in, then you know who needs assistance, who needs training, who needs more professional development. And if you see someone is getting ahead of the plan, okay, this person might be able to take more challenges, like more work, right? So then if he's comfortable of taking more work, then you can ask, you can utilize them, because there are people in every company where some people say, like they are the, I would say, like they are the fast runners, like they run fast. If they have a plan to do it in annual basis, they will finish it in 8 months, right? Are you letting them be like that and then let them get bored in that rest of 4 months? Or maybe you can utilize that person to train that low performer, right? And like to do shadowing with that, the low performer. Then if the two of them work together, then the fast running person and the low, the average person will combine, and then there'll be more face, right? And especially like when you hire, like first step, like especially when you hire the right person, as per my experience, employees quit in any given role within first 3 months of their employment, technically, because they come in, they identify, okay, this is not the right company. They identified, oh, this manager sucks, this is not the manager I was expecting for. Maybe they will think, oh, I don't see a good performance, good growth within this company, right? So they usually quit, like the most resignations and employee exits happening with the first 3 months of the employment, right? So to secure them and to identify if they are falling behind or not, I usually do like a 30-day check-in with each new hires to check whether are they comfortable with the role, right? It's like an one-on-one only with HR. It's like a whistleblowing session, right? To identify, are they comfortable, right? Are they feeling like they are in the right team? Are they feeling like they're in the right role, right? If not, how we can facilitate, right? So then that's a great initiative, because like the previous companies and the current company I have seen, like employees, when they have a one-on-one conversation with HR, they usually, tell the truth, like they tell the real story. And the HR person, you have to be that close friend of your team, the whole employees. If they don't feel comfortable coming to you, then they won't tell you anything, right? So then you have to be that good guy within the team to get the best out of the employees, right? For that, I would say most of the HR persons, they are pretty extroverts. They like to go out, meet people. They are pretty social. They know how to get the best out of from the people, in even within a conversation. They know how to get this conversation and dig deep, and learn, get that, the expressions out of the employee. So those are the strategies.
How do you make the employees feel comfortable coming to you? Is there, I mean, there's 100% human psychology, so I just want you to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So it is kind of, you have to start like informally. Like you cannot just do HR by sitting at your desk, right? So when I was working in that apparel company, we had more than 24 production lines, which is like 60, 70 people working in one production line. So as HR people, what we always do in the morning, we walk around that aisles, right? Make HR a familiar face. Say good morning, say how are you, right? So break that ice. Like employees should feel that HR is a secure place to come and speak, right? So for that, what you have to do, you have to be informal. You don't have to be formal every time you go out. Like even when we had that like working breaks in between, like employees may be having tea or their lunch, right? So we usually go there, like, hang around a little bit, because that is where they are free to speak. Like, for an example, like some employees, if it is an industrial environment, they might hesitate to come and see the HR, with knowing their supervisor that that person went to HR, right? So that was that industrial culture looks like, because employees like to be free and talk free. So to break the HR's responsibility is to break that ice, to make sure that you have that informal connections, like saying good morning, hi, and ask about how you're feeling today, how, like, you're breaking that ice. Then that person will be more comfortable of speaking to HR, coming to HR, meeting you, and express any, maybe, like, I have seen some of my previous companies where a labor level employee came in and they expose a big performance issue within the company, right? So that person will not go to CEO, that person will not go to the COO to tell it, right? But if you are a friend of the employee, they will come to you and say, hello sir, hello ma'am, so this is happening in our production line, or this is happening in our facility. So I just want to let you know this is happening. So then we can dig deep, investigate further, maybe get that senior management involved and solve the issue, right? So that is the HR responsibility, as I said earlier, like to break that ice, start something informal, and make sure that employee feels comfortable coming to you.
You've worked in many various different companies. Can you touch on your favorite company you've worked for and what makes it stand out?
So this is totally two different regions, right? So I would say I would split it into two, because currently in Canada I work for Saintco. This is one of my favorite companies I have worked in my career, because it's with First Nations, because their culture, heritage, their uniqueness is a part of my job. I always need to make sure I talk to the community, I talk to their people, their beliefs, right? And also to make sure that I respect their culture, traditions, heritage, and also I need to protect their culture, tradition, and heritage. And also, I'm an ambassador for the company, right? As the HR person, because I am the person who is going outside always for the conferences, seminars, job fairs, and stuff. So my role is to represent them, even though I'm not indigenous a member in Canada, but I represent my people. I represent my company, their culture, tradition, and also to provide them as much as facilities as per my expertise, right? With my global expertise and my Canadian expertise, how I can help them to navigate their HR practices into the different level. So in Canada, so the Saintco Group is one of my best companies I'm working for right now, and I have ever worked for. And in terms of overseas, I have worked in that apparel manufacturing company. So that is one of my favorites in my career, because there's something happening every time, because it's highly industrial, highly operational. In a blink of an eye, you will see an HR issue or an HR thing coming in. So you have to be spot on. Like I've been there working like a 12-hour shift every day, all 5 days. Like that's how industrial it is, and it's like a 24-hour operation sometimes when we have a high amount of orders and production targets. So it's like you I step into the office like 7 a.m. in the morning, and hear all the solve all these small issues in the morning. Then the operation flows, then there might be a sudden issue in the afternoon, then I have to jump in, like employee issues, maybe like there's a conflict or something, you jump in, right? Then at the end of the day, there'll be, you have to ready for the next day, right? It was like a 12 to 10 hour day when I was working there, but it was like the most interesting 2.5 years of my life back home, because I learned a lot, and learned a lot of, and implemented a lot of new stuff. And even here with Sainco, starting as the HR manager, I did a lot of process improvements, implementing HRISs and stuff, and then implementing a total benefit package. So I would say I'm kind of a change maker. Wherever I go, I have made an impact where I have worked. Yeah.
So you're saying industrial, right? And there is conflicts in the morning, maybe noon, afternoon. What are the most common things that you see there? And what is the key difference between an industrial company and maybe your normal company, which could be
Corporates, yeah.
tech, corporate,
Yeah.
stuff like that?
I would say because the industrial companies and the manufacturing companies, they are highly labor intensive. Like you have to engage with a lot of employees. Like for an example, a production supervisor is responsible for more than 60 employees in their production line, right? So the amount of grievances, amount of communication issues, the amount of conflicts, interpersonal conflicts, communication issues, maybe labor issues, or even like grievances, like and absenteeism, right? So those are the issues. Like because if one person manages 60 people, direct reports, the production supervisor is like he has to be a beast, right? He has to be like a machine, like responding everybody, and you have to respond people issues, and as well as make sure that the production is going on, right? And because you have to meet the daily target, right? Otherwise you won't meet the customer's target end of the month or end of the week, right? In terms of the other side, the corporate side, you will maximum manage like 5 6 employees, direct employees, if you see an office like a white collar environment, right? Like a tech or a corporate or maybe insurance or bank, right? So you'll maximum see 5 to 6 direct reports per employee, and those direct reports might be all having their diplomas, bachelor's degrees, right? So they are pretty tech savvy. They are pretty okay. If you print a document with the new policies, you hand it over to them, they will read it and understand, right? But if you compare it to an industrial company, then you have to hold a quick meeting, read out your new policy, explain them what we expect from them, right? It takes time, right? So that's the difference between an industrial and manufacturing company plus a corporate. So the level of employee engagement is different, the level of employee understanding is different, the level of the level you need to explain things, reaching out to them personally is different, right? And maybe like in a corporate environment, I see if you send an email stating what is required, then you're all good because they read and understand it, right? But in an industrial environment, you cannot create 60 emails for 60 employees, and they might not be tech savvy to go and read an email, right? So then you have to hold a meeting like an in person, everything in person. That's why sometimes when supervisors struggle to deliver their message, they usually ask a person from HR or operations to come in and help them, right? As an independent person. So hey, this is a new practice we are implementing. We need your support, and if there's any issue, come and meet maybe production manager or HR or our. And also one good initiative I did implement back home was I implemented a new counselor. We implemented a new counselor, like a person who can be that mediator. That person was on a separate room where nobody knows which employee goes in, right? So that's kind of I would say that person will be in here is like an employee relations person. So we call that lady the counselor. So we gave her the training to become a counselor, effective hearing, effective understanding of employee controls. And when we have that separate counselor in on site on the factory, we saw the number of grievances we receive got increased a lot, because Now they know we have a dedicated person to go and speak, right? Rather than meeting, maybe if you come to HR department, there might be the payroll person sitting there. You don't need to tell your grievance to a payroll person, right? If they have the dedicated person, dedicated place to go, then they know, okay, we are getting heard, right? Our issues are, addressed by the management. So then we understood the patterns of the grievances, amount, number of grievances, and what they look like, what's the pattern look like. So then we can, take management decisions based on that.
So if we talk about maybe more of like a data analysis side, would you say which approach has had the highest yield? If you had to say, like, you touched about the counselor system, maybe the HR going to lunchrooms. If you could rank, like, which one is the most important if there is somebody watching and wants to implement, like, some of these points that you mentioned for their own company and maybe their tech, maybe what kind of advice would you have for young founders managing this side of operations in their companies?
I would say, like, you have, like, if you're a startup, like, there will be maximum 10 employees, right? Then you need to know one person by your by each person, right? So then you will start building the team underneath them, right? Once you fully understand that the higher level or the founder level people, then you know, okay, this person is the right fit, and then you start building under, like, your tree under that person, right? So that's how it's happened. So for that, you will have a control as a founder, or the startup person. You will have that control for a certain amount of time, but it goes out of your control when the company grows. You cannot talk to, if you have more than 20 people, you cannot talk all 20 people as the founder or the CEO or the president of the company, right? So then you need to make sure you have a perfect level of people representing you to talk on behalf of them, on behalf of you to them, right? So analytics side, I would say, in the industrial side, it was like absenteeism was a great analytics. Why they are absent, what is the reason? And employee grievances, what is the grievance, what type of a grievance it is, what type of complaint, and then the complaints, what type of complaint, what is the complaint, and why it is for. And also the personal issues. Sometimes employees come and tell their personal hardships, personal issues, right? Maybe they have a family issue. Maybe that person is a single mom, right? Maybe that person having a health issue, right? So there are some issues you cannot tell outsiders, but as HR, you know it, right? So that's why you have to, like, HR person has to be analytical, but not to expose the full data outside, right? So you might know who is sick, right? Who is on LTD, STD, right? Like disability, or any mental health issues, or who is taking, more counselor visits, doctor visits. You might know as the HR person, but you might not expose full data to the management. You just say, okay, head count may be this amount, right? Or the pattern kind of a thing to the management, right? So because if you expose the full data, then employees will think, okay, we are getting exposed, then they will not start it, they will stop trusting you, right? So that's why I said earlier, like, you have to be that person who manages people as well as manage the business. So HR holds that dual hybrid role to make sure that, like, you manage everything perfectly. Analytics side, as I said earlier, you have to be analyzing what's happening, the trends within the company, then you'll identify more trends. As I said earlier, like, even a small, like, the lower level employee can come in and expose a big problem within the company. Maybe that leadership team or the middle management will not expose that because it might be a issue for them if they expose it, right? But when you like HR, like you can't only rely on talking to the leadership. You have to talk to the middle management. You have to talk to the lower level employees, even the security personnel or the drivers. You can speak to them, like, participate on different meetings and, get out that data, analyze it, present to the management, say, here's the trend. Like, in industrial sector where I have worked, the absenteeism is a good analysis tool to identify why they are absent, right? Why they are not coming to work, right? So maybe that's because an issue happened earlier day which is not resolved. They don't have that positive mindset to come to work today, right? So they're asking for a sick day or a day off, right? So those are the stuff. Like in terms of the other side, like new startup people, you have to connect with your small team first and make sure that small team is the perfect team. uh, every manager has to be an HR manager, right? If you are a CEO, make sure that every manager is an HR manager, at least to know basic HR stuff, like how to resolve a conflict, how to effectively speak to an employee, how to effectively receive a complaint, how to effectively receive a concern, right? People resist to change, but you need to make sure. I know, like, IT managers are there, like, AI is coming in, a lot of new stuff coming in, but that human touch should be there, right? Like every manager should be an HR manager.
What are the trends that you see? For example, is there throughout the year like different trends that are based on the metrics, or there's certain grievances that you see are more common than the others? Like, I want to get to, based on your data so far, how do humans interact with each other and what's like most common than the others?
I would say the most problems are based on how between the relationship between a manager and an employee. Even though they have a problem, if they have a good relationship, they might go outside and have a coffee and solve it without coming to HR, right? Or maybe they will have a call after work and they will solve it, right? If there's a conflict between employee and the manager or the supervisor, then they won't talk to each other, right? So that issue comes directly for us, right? Like that's why I said early, every manager should be an HR manager. Then the amount of grievances the complaints coming to HR will be less. So HR's responsibility, if you see a manager struggling to solve their issues within the team, so you have to be that person, the mentor for that manager, to help them to deliver a good communication to the employee, right? So I have been working in my career now and past, different managers who are struggling to manage their team and deliver some messages. So once you start training them to be that HR person within the team, so then less problems comes to HR, and then HR can think more strategically. Otherwise, if you see everybody is running to HR to tell their problems, then we won't have any time to do that strategic part of HR, right? The lower you do the operational HR side, the more you contribute to the strategy, right? So especially on the other side, what we're talking about, like when you see an issue, right, you solve it, but you keep that the relevant manager or the supervisor involved, right? So then that person will take it as an example, and when the similar issue comes in again, maybe that person will do it by himself, right? So that is how you need to, like, the best, most important part of employees in a company is not the leadership or not the lower level, it's the middle management. So the middle management runs the show, right? So they are the people who receive the message from the leadership and communicates that message to the lower level. If they don't communicate it properly, then the lower level employees will start hating the leadership. And the leadership will think they are not hearing our direction, right? So that's why you need strong middle management in any company. So that happens when the company grows. Like for startups, you won't see it. Like then you'll have owner and one line of employees, right? But when you grow, then you have the third, fourth layer. Then that second and third layer becomes the middle management, where you have to invest on them, training them, making them that some kind of an HR manager.
Makes total sense, Don. Now we're going to get to some philosophical questions. What challenges you?
Challenges me is that I would say the technology and the environmental challenges, like political challenges. So those are the stuff we cannot control. As HR, we can control the people within the company. We can control the decisions that we take based on people. We can totally control it. But there are certain stuff we cannot control, like political differences, like country wise we are taking different legislative changes might be there, or else we might have technical challenges coming in, like suddenly there's a new introduction of a system, or something like AI, for an example. Introduction of AI is a huge now we are in kind of a transition period. Now we are experiencing the difference day by day, right? And then maybe there's an environmental issues like COVID, but we had COVID. It was a total change. Then we have to think differently and try out new initiatives we have never thought of or never tried before. No matter whether it's correct or not, we just implement it and to see how it goes, right? But so those are the three stuff we cannot complete, like technology, uh, political decisions plus environmental decisions. So most of the companies, like you see with COVID, how many companies disappeared and how many new startups came in after COVID. So those, like I would say, like those are the periods that those are the challenges that comes on any company's way to test them out whether they are sustainable or not, right? So if you can sustain that hard period of time, like the red revolution period of time, then you are taking your company to the next step. You are taking your HR initiatives to the next step. The HR we did before COVID and HR we are doing right now is totally different. Like we talk more about hybrid workplaces, working from home, new policies from working from home, new communication policies. Even like we do Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, and stuff, right? Like we do a lot of policies coming in. Like some people they work totally remote, but still they are our employee. They have to be within our bubble, right? Not to let them go outside. So the thing, like the other thing with AI, like is now we are in kind of a transition period. I would say some companies will not be able to survive, unfortunately, because of the transition, because of companies investing on tech heavily and companies investing on people now to hire the best people to run that tech, right? So if the HR on the other side, like for an example, in Canada now we have a different immigration policies, like that immigration is totally different right now. Prior to COVID, now we have immigrants coming in, but we have like very strict policies for them to stay, right? So now we are having new issues with uh, retention of employees, especially like if they cannot apply PR or if they cannot retain within the country. So they will, where are they going to go? Like, do we need to renew the work permits? Do we need, how are we going to keep them, right? Or for an example, there might be your best employee might be struggling with an immigration issue because he or she cannot renew his work permit or something. especially for like sectors like agriculture, like transportation, production, right? So because in Canada, what I see, a lot of industries survive because of immigrant talents, right? So that political reasons are a reason for HR. Now it came to our plate saying, now our CEOs, our head of board members might ask, okay, how are you going to facilitate our next future talent pipeline, right? So if nobody's coming in, like no talents coming into Canada, right? So then how are we going to retain the existing talent, or how are we going to find the talent, or are we going to train the new people? So see, there's something we cannot control, but now we are finding solutions day by day.
Um, so a question that arose is, you can answer this honestly and you can maybe refuse it, but you see a lot of people from many various countries working in your company. So can you touch on who have you seen that, over and over prove as a hardworking nation? If you can touch on that.
That's a really tough question. I have seen many individuals from many different countries. I would say it's not about the nation, it's how Canadian ready they are, right? For an example, if you come from certain region or certain ethnicity, certain background, no matter where you're from, if you can adapt to this culture and adapt to that, if you can increase the readiness, the Canadian readiness within you, that person is the best person, I think. Because I know, like, we have to respect different ethnicities and different groups, but some people are there, they're not, they are resist to change, like they are not, it's really hard for them to adapt to the system. And like for an example, you might have, as I said earlier, you might have the best resume, you might have the best academic qualifications. What if you are not, if you don't have that good personality, attitude, right, willingness to learn, and that willingness to be Canadian, right? So that is the problem I see. So it's really hard to figure out a country or ethnic group, but I would say any person who's willing to be that Canadian ready, and that get adapt to this culture and grow within the culture, are the best fits for any company.
And lastly, what do you think is the meaning of life?
Oh, meaning of life. It's a great question. I would say happiness. No matter what you do, if you can stay happy, if you can stay healthy, if you can, communicate healthy, if you can, be that person who loves the community, right? The happiness different from person to person. There might be a CEO who is earning 300K a year, but he might not be happy, right? There might be a labor who is working on a mine site and earning 80, 70K per year, right? Working a 12-hour shift. He might be happy because he's doing something he's passionate of, right? So that's why every individual has to identify what they are passionate of and to do what they're passionate of. Because in my life, I will give an example. I was doing mathematics, chemistry, and physics for my high school. I was not happy because that was not something I wanted to. I did it because my teachers told me to do that. My parents told me to do mathematics, right? But as I grow day by day, I understand, okay, this is not the right fit. I'm in the wrong place, right? So HR, so there's a time for each individual. They have to self evaluate themselves and see, are we I am I in the right place, am I in the right field, am I doing the right job? If you don't feel it, don't hesitate, take the shift. Because if you wait longer, then you might not able to return back, right? It's really important if you are in your early 20s to identify where you need to go, like plan ahead, and to see where you want to go, and to select the best stream or best field you need to go in. It's about your personality. You have to assess your own personality and see what you're passionate of. For an example, if you are an introvert, like if you don't like to talk to people, if you don't like to be in the public place, if you don't like to do public speaking, if you don't like to network, go out with your friends after in the evenings, the likelihood of that person to become an HR person is really less, because HR is about connecting with people, doing networking, going outside, be the familiar face, be that face of the company, right? Then that person might have to choose something like a back end role, maybe accounting, or something like IT, which is like a back end, like they can stay as an introvert, right? I have seen on the other side some people who are introverts, but they have successfully changed their life cycle. Now they're like rocking, right? So I've seen such people, but it's very less. So it's really important to identify your passion and do that you're passionate of and stay happy.
Don, it was fantastic
Yeah.
speaking to you.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. You too. And all the best for the stuff you do, and all the stuff you do for the community, and sharing these thoughts and stuff is really great.
Thanks, brother.
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.